All right, boys, welcome to BUBL Week 3, this time versus Vandy, who you can check out in the top right-hand corner. If you missed last week, unfortunately, we took another loss. 0-2 is not the start we wanted, and I have made some decisions that I do not like our team. So going into Week 4, we went ahead and made some transactions that I'll talk about next week. But for this week, we are going to be using that same team. This week, I feel like I always got an excuse, man. I got a busy life, and so I'm just telling you guys about it. People in the actual battle will never know. This week has been extremely busy for both myself and Wagon because both of us are taking a trip with Chef and Central next week to Florida. So among other things, I've been planning for that, packing for that, yada yada. I played Nexus on Tuesday, so I've had basically 3 days to prep for Vandy, and I just haven't had a whole lot of time to do that because of the packing and stuff. So we got one mock in on this. Wagon and I talked about the matchup a little bit. Overall, a lot of this prep was just like the first pace. There wasn't a whole lot of changes. There were some changes, obviously, and we theory crafted some stuff and changed some stuff around. But generally speaking, this is the second version of the pace, and it's not that much different than the first version. And that being said, I also don't have a ton of thoughts on this matchup, so we're going to go ahead and talk about what his team is and what I think does well. Vandy has Garchomp, Metagross, Terra Thunder, Primarina, Talonflame, Terra Porygon 2, Annihilate, Muckalola, Shaman, and Komala. Our team remains the same. Like I said, it's not going to change until next week. As far as threats that Vandy has goes, it's pretty simple. Annihilate destroys us. It's a very good Pokemon into our team. A lot of our threats don't do super lot to it, and it outspeeds a lot of our things that want to do actual damage to it, like ARCHALUDON, and Iron Hands is pretty much fodder for that Pokemon. Deoxys is able to pressure it, obviously, but it can't switch in on the Rage Fizz, and Enamorus is able to pressure it, but it doesn't love switching in if we do give it that even one Rage Fizz boost to 100 base power. I don't know what set he's going to be necessarily. He could be a bulk up set, he could be a scarf set. There's a couple of different options, but I'm very thankful that this Annihilate is not Terra, because that would be horrible. We wouldn't be able to deal with that at all. Past that, he has a lot of Pokemon that do well enough, and he has pretty much every Pokemon on his team outside of Komala I do think has a place on this matchup. It just is kind of piecing together. It's just kind of deciding how he's going to piece it together. Like, Garchomp is pretty cool, but where Spike Stack does do good into our team, Garchomp doesn't really get free turns here, so it might be like some sort of Life Orb offensive scale shot, maybe with SD, but again, it's not really going to be able to find the time to get an SD off. It could be something like Scarf potentially, but I do think Garchomp's realistically hard to fit, and it could be that Spike set. Like, spikes are possible here for sure. It's just hard for Garchomp to really get a free turn here. Metagross is interesting. A Rock Polish set does do very well. I don't think it outspeeds a Scarf Enamorus at +2 unless he is Jolly, though, and he does miss out on quite a few KOs if he is not Adamant, unless he plays for that Hazard Stack variant, which would be very scary. But Metagross overall does do really well. It's also one of his rockers and his most reliable rocker at that, in my opinion. I think that he could just bring a lead rocks Metagross, and that could be very scary and hard for us to deal with. Next up, Thundurus. Thundurus can be a whole lot of things, man. I have literally no idea what Terra type to expect on this Thundurus in this matchup. Psychic probably is the one that speaks to me the most because it does allow it to resist that Iron Hands and give it a way to hit us very, very hard. I mean, it already has Psychic, but Stab Psychic does so much damage to our Iron Hands, so Psychic is something that I definitely expect. He could also be something like Fairy. Fairy does really well into us. It just makes him weak to the Archaludon, which doesn't matter if it's a Focus Blast, I guess. But Thundurus is it doesn't have like a super great matchup because we do have things like Iron Hands and Swampert that are able to take hits from it and do kind of spread out what Terra type it wants to be. And again, it could even be Grass if it wanted to be able to hit the Swampert and also throw off Grass Knot on the Iron Hands, I suppose. That is definitely an option as well. Primarina is another interesting case. Primarina does get him in a lot of interesting positions, but does lose him some momentum in the sense that it loses to things like Iron Hands and Ogerpon, and it even takes big damage from the Archaludon. So it is cool that we don't have very many fairy resist on our team. However, Prim's speed stat and the fact that it's very frail physically doesn't lead to it being super great here, although I do think it does have some purpose and wouldn't be super shocked if it does show up. Talonflame would just be here for defog, probably. If he thinks we're going to hazard stack him, that's why this Pokemon would come. Or, I guess, Ogerpon. But Ogerpon gets a rock move to outspeed the Ogerpon, I suppose, or to have another Pokemon to outspeed the Cyclers, or if he's scared of that, that's another reason that it could come. Porygon 2, his other Terra captain, and I actually think more likely to Terra than Thundurus. There are two main types that I was looking at. The first is Ghost, and this is like why I ultimately decided to make changes to the team because we don't have a dark type, and it's been really difficult playing around any and all ghosts, even Sableye, Terra Ghost Hydrapple, now Terra Ghost Porygon 2. Terra Ghost is so free into my team, and there's nothing I can do about it. With poor removal and only Cyclizar, if you have a ghost, I can't. He has Annihilate too. I can't remove the hazard, so he could go for that hazard stack variant with the Ghost Porygon 2, and that is not what we want to see. That's going to be very hard for us to beat. Obviously, we do have a couple of ways around it, but it's very scary. And then the other options, Terra Ground. This is what Wagon brought in the mock analytic. Terra Ground with Terra Blast. It does a lot of damage. Obviously, it's able to blow past Archaludon. Pretty much OHKO most of pretty much able to OHKO our Archaludon that we are going to be ending up bringing, and also do super effective damage to the Iron Hands. We don't have great ground resist. Tri-Attack plus the Terra Blast would just be enough, plus Recover. You throw that on there, and then whatever you want your last move to be, Trick Room, Thunder Wave, whatever the case may be, Foul Play, I don't know. It ground offensively does a lot for him. Muck is really annoying just because of Deoxys. Deoxys does really well minus the Muck. There's a lot of really good Deoxys sets here, but Muck stuffs a lot of them. And we also don't have great Pokemon that we want to get knocked off. It's kind of just Iron Hands, who does not want to get poisoned. And then lastly, Shaman. I don't know, man. Shaman might, in my opinion, out of the ones I've named, be my least favorite to come, but it does have some usability because it switches in on that Swampert. And obviously, we don't have great special resist to grass. I mean, we have like Archaludon, but it gets Earth Power, and a Seed Flare into an Earth Power would absolutely send this packing. So I could definitely see Shaman coming. And again, I apologize that this in-depth analysis isn't super in-depth, or that maybe I'm rambling or talking in circles. I'm the least prepared for this one, and I don't have super strong opinions on what I think he'll bring. As for our Pokemon, I'm going to be honest, like I said, the 6 Pokemon that I thought about bringing at first were the 6 that ended up coming. So basically the top 6 had all the consideration. There was never any real consideration for the bottom 3. Cyclizar is horrible in this matchup. Between Annihilate and the potential of Ghost Porygon 2, I never really saw a purpose for what I want Cyclizar to do, which is Rapid Spin. I mean, I could bring him as a knockoff bot, throw on Draco, whatever, I guess, and he'd be alright, but really what he wants to be here for is Rapid Spin, and he can't do that, so I think he would just be using up a slot that is better otherwise used for something else. Muck doesn't really do great here. I mean, he has Garchomp, right? It would be okay for Prim, I guess, and we could like kind of get creative and do some sort of a weird Muck to try to beat the Annihilate with like Rocky Helmet, Sticky Hold. Although Rocky Helmet, Poison Touch, I guess, would be better because it doesn't get knockoff. I don't know why I said Sticky Hold. Rocky Helmet, some sort of defensive Muck. I don't know. We could do that. I think that we have better options again. And then Dusknoir. Look, man, Uncle Rick, you really failed us last week. You got to sit down for a week. All right, let's get into the team that we're bringing and why we are bringing it. Our first Pokemon is going to be Our first Pokemon is going to be our lead. It's going to be Deoxys. It is going to be the Focus Sash. I try to get creative because I really do not want Rocks up turn 1. And this was the best way that I could think that we are able to stop that with a lead Taunt Deoxys. We're able to taunt the Metagross, prevent the Rocks, and if he Heavy Slams, we're able to live that with the Focus Sash, switch out, go Archaludon on the Bullet Punch. Yeah, we're bringing Archaludon, obviously. I told you we're bringing top 6. Spikes is also really nice if he leads something that doesn't want to stay in on the Deoxys, or if we think he's going to switch into the Muck at any point in the match, we can get a Spike up, and Spikes are so good into his team, specifically because of that Annihilate, man. Getting the passive damage on that Pokemon and finding out if it's leftovers is very crucial for this matchup. We also get some permanent damage on the Prim and the Metagross. Again, very nice long term. Ice Beam's here because I do think it's important that we are able to KO that Garchomp and then knock off, specifically probably to knock off the P2's Eviolite, but also to knock off a Muck's Boots or Assault Vest. Our speed, I did not write down what this does. I'm assuming we outspeed a Jolly Garchomp at +1 speed because of Scale Shot, and then we put the rest in special attack, rock friendly number of HP. I actually didn't write it down, and I don't know why I didn't write it down, but that's what I'm assuming. Our next Pokemon is one of the few that had changes. We're going to be Enamorous, and we're going to be Scarf Enamorous, and I really like Scarf Enamorous here. We had a couple of other Enamorous that we did talk about. This one's Terra Fairy. We discussed Terra Stellar as well. And then Wagon suggested an AV Terra Electric set that I just didn't love. Like, I didn't think it was bad, but I did think that I got more use out of this Terra Fairy Choice Scarf, because he doesn't have great Fairy Resist. Like, you look at his team, his Fairy Resist is going to be Talonflame, which doesn't love to take hits, Metagross, which doesn't love to take hits, and that's pretty much it. He has to Terra out of whatever he wants with, like, Porygon 2 or with Thundy to resist Fairy otherwise. So his Fairy Resists are very limited, so we can get the Enamorous into really good positions early to fire off some Moonblast, and even if Rocks are up, this is why I don't want Rocks up, by the way, but even if Rocks are up, we're able to throw off a Healing Wish into our Archaludon or our Deoxys, and even get that Focus stash back if we did not absorb it, which I think is huge. Moonblast plus Draining Kiss obviously is going to be our coverage for Fairy. Earth Power allows us to hit that Metagross, not the Talonflame. I'm not too worried about the Talonflame, to be honest with you. We have enough speed to outspeed the Garchomp. Scarf also gives us a way to revenge the +1 Garchomp, which I think is huge. I don't think it's going to be very hard for him to ever get to +1 speed, but just in case, this gives us that. And we also outspeed the Adamant Metagross at +2. Our next Pokemon is going to be ARCHALUDON. This Pokemon I think is going to put in the finest this week. We are Power Herb for attacks. We're Power Herb Electro Shot. We're Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, and Body Press. Body Press to take advantage of stamina. This is going to switch in on a lot of things like physical attackers. Like it's going to switch in on his Metagross potentially, or it's going to switch in even on his Muck. Like we're able to get into a lot of positions where we are going to get that Body Press and we're going to be able to fire it off. Electro Shot, we throw off an Electro Shot, we get the Power Herb, we get the +1. Draco is going to hurt. There's nothing that wants to take Electro Shot plus Draco Meteor, and then Dark Pulse is going to be here to hit that Metagross. We have enough speed to outspeed the 12-speed Shaman, and then we live a Garchomp EQ after a Spike, and we went the rest in special attack. The idea with the first three guys is Deoxys is going to lead, and we're going to try to overwhelm him early with both Enamorus as well as ARCHALUDON, but have Enamorus to be able to be in the back to use a Healing Wish or to revenge the Garchomp or the Metagross, whatever the case may be. Next up, we've got Swampert. This is one of the Pokemon that did change. Initially, this was going to be like a Rindo Mirror Coat set for the Thundy, but we decided that it was probably better to use it as like a Rocky Helmet pivot into the Muck Alola, so we're going to be that. We're going to have Stealth Rocks because I do think stacking him is very important. Yana's going to be here to disrupt the P2 as well as the Annihilate that want to switch in on us. And then we have Flip Turn as well as Earthquake, and we're pretty strong here. We're 56 Adamant, so that allows us to do some big damage to a lot of different things. And our EVs allow us to take 2 Prim Moonblast, 2 Garchomp EQs, and we went the rest into attack with a little bit of speed for the creeps, just in case he's a 0-speed Primarina that we want to outspeed. Next up, we got Uncle Mike. I gotta say, I wish I chose Cinderace instead of Iron Hands, because he would have fixed a lot of problems that I have with the teams the first 3 weeks. So this is Uncle Mike's last ride. I'm going to tell you guys that. He is not on the team after this week. So big salute to Uncle Mike. You really haven't done anything for us and actually just kind of soaked up points. And I'm sorry to say that, buddy, because I love you. We're bringing Iron Hands here. We're going to be an Assault Vest set. This is like our mitigation to Thundurus. Thundurus is really problematic here. And if he's Terra Psychic, that's gonna hurt. We did also discuss a Pyapa Berry. That was definitely an option, but we ended up going with Assault Vest. I'm not sure if it's the right move just because we couldn't figure out a good set, because we do think Encore on Annihilate is probably pretty likely. So switching Volt Switch to SD and going Pyapa makes sense, but also could put us in worse situations overall. So we're AV, we're Volt Switch, Drain Punch, Supercell, and Ice Punch. Supercell gives us a way to do pretty much any damage to the Annihilate. We can outspeed a 12-speed Primarina. We can take 3 Psychics from a non-boosting, non-Terra Psychic Thundy, and we put the rest into attack. This dude's only purpose is to switch in on the Thundurus and click Volt Switch. That's pretty much it. And then lastly, I actually think this dude ties the team together, and this dude is also getting dropped, and I'm going to miss him a lot because I have really enjoyed prepping with him. We got Unga Bunga, we've got the Ogerpon. He's going to be fast Encore, fast enough to outspeed the Garchomp, and we're going to have Encore. This is going to be to lock him into Swords Dance, or to lock things like the Metagross into Rock Polish, or force it to click a move so it can't switch up moves on our Pokemon, because obviously if he locks Psychic things, he doesn't want to hit that into the ARCHALUDON, things like that. Or to lock the Annihilate into a Bulk Up, to lock the Annihilate into a Rage Fist. Like, we can lock, which Rage Fist isn't ideal, but we can lock different Pokemon into different moves and take advantage of situations, and I like that a lot with how fast this Encore is. We're Synthesis because we're very bulky, we want to live long term. Cudgel is really nice here because it's no contact, and we're able to click that into things like the Talonflame pretty free. And then we have things like Knock Off to knock off the Talonflame's Boots, because I do think it's going to be Boots if brought, and I do think that we're going to play with Rocks Up for a majority of the game. Our EVs allow us to outspeed the Garchomp. We can take 2 Prim Moonblasts from Max Modest, and then we went the remaining 4 into attack. And that is going to be the team. I am so sorry again that this is such a rush job, and I feel like this is going to be a very short video. Like I said, we just did not have enough time this week. Both myself and Wagon, we did not have a whole lot of time for this, so I actually am pretty confident in the build. I think this is my favorite of the 3 builds so far, ironically. It just makes a lot more sense to me than the other 2 builds. But yeah, we're gonna make some changes after this week because I just don't like prepping with this team at all. I'm not a big fan of it at all. We're keeping Deoxys, we're keeping Enamorus, we're keeping ARCHALUDON, and we're keeping Swampert. I think that's it. And then everybody else is changing. No, we're keeping Uncle Rick too. That one's not really by choice. But yeah, that's going to be it for this team builder, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And for now, guys, this has been John Jr. signing off.